Next up, at UFC Vegas 71, we have Raphael Assuncao taking on Davey Grant. Raphael Assuncao, 27-9 overall, 1-4 in his last 5. He's coming off that win over Victor Henry. Davey Grant, 12-6 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off the KO win over Luis Smolka. And this is an interesting fight to break down. This is this week's Derek Brunson and Duplessis fight, where people are split. People are very, very split on this fight. Raphael Assuncao is 40 years old. He's a straight-up tried and true vet. This dude has been fighting for 20 years. And you see the 1-4, but the reality is he has only lost to some of the best people. His last 4 losses were Ricky Simone, Cody Garbrandt, Corey Sandhagen, and Marlon Moraes. And this is over the course of like 4 or 5 years. When
one of those guys is in the PFL.
This is the course over 4 or 5 years. Well, there was Marlon Moraes when Marlon Moraes was still good. But anyway, he's only lost to very good people. He has wins over very good people as well. And I think a lot of us a lot of people are focusing on that aspect of it, which is nice, right? You're not just looking at the 1 and then the 4 and then being like, this guy sucks. But he's fighting Davey Grant. And Davey Grant is another interesting guy. People in the comments talking about, he owns a restaurant. He's not even a full-time fighter. He cares about his restaurant more than fighting. How can you pick the guy? The arguments I've seen over this fight are very, very interesting. So Raphael Assuncao, he's been fighting forever. Still in shape, can still push a pace. He's got some decent striking. For the most part, he wants to grapple, wrestle, get it to the ground. That's exactly what he just did to Victor Henry, who's supposed to be this stud. Davey Grant, as of late, he's been a busy striker. He's got nice kicks, good range, solid punches for damage. And he has some real power in there. But a lot of people forget that he started his career as a grappler. And as a whole, Davey Grant's a pretty experienced grappler who's gotten comfortable with his hands and then developed power. He has 10 fights in the UFC. He also has some solid fight IQ, some solid experience. I think Davey Grant is going to win. I don't think it's the most confident thing in the world. I don't have him as a parlay piece or anything like that. I did say in my quick picks video, I was like, the more I'm looking at this, the more confident I'm getting in Davey Grant. And I just feel like this line is going to take off, meaning for Davey. But I was dead wrong. It's going the other way. The line is tightening. Money's coming in on Assuncao instead of Davey Grant. I thought Davey Grant was going to close at like a -2 something, -300 favorite. Because people are going to be like, this dude's 40, has 1 win in 4 years. Davey Grant isn't the best, but he comes out swinging. He's got power. He can wrestle. He'll be fine. But that's not what people are doing. What do you think, Jakey boy?
The second I saw those odds, I put Davey Grant in a parlay because I think he smokes Assuncao. I just don't feel like the victory over Victor Henry can translate to this fight. He can't copy and paste that same game plan and use that against Davey Grant because you can't outwork Davey Grant. That guy is constantly doing stuff. He's throwing wild. I think he's going to have the striking advantage. Obviously, if he throws heavy and Assuncao, I keep adding syllables, I think, but if Raphael can counter, obviously something can happen because Davey Grant has been cracked. Even though he's a tough guy, he can work through stuff like that. I think it comes down to people are just seeing all the submission wins for Assuncao and the submission losses on the side of Davey Grant, and they think, okay, we've got this submission guy. This guy gets submitted. Let's make this fight a little bit closer. Where the reality is, I don't think Raphael is going to be able to get in those positions to even come close to Davey Grant because, as you mentioned, he started as a grappler, and I think he can just out-scramble out of those positions, and he's a much better striker in my mind of the two. And I just can't trust all those losses. I know he beat Victor Henry, but I just don't think you can translate that game plan. And I think Davey Grant comes in and pressures them and smokes the old man, unfortunately.
He could. I'm not confident enough to bet on a side here, but I don't think I would be surprised by anything. If Raphael Assuncao came in here and got the takedowns and beat up Davey Grant, I would not be that surprised. It'd be like,
I would.
I wouldn't. And if Davey Grant smoked Assuncao, I wouldn't be surprised by that either. Like, dude's 40. Like, this is not a forgiving sport. So, but I'm not going to die on either hill. So people freaking out crack me up. $7,700 in DraftKings. If you're on the Raphael Assuncao side and you think he's going to get those takedowns, you think he's going to make something happen. I mean, that's not the worst value. But if you're Jacob and you're all over the Davey Grant side, $8,500 may be able to get that done. and could be worth it. Like $8,500 is not a ton of money, especially if you think he gets a finish. So how do you think it goes? You think Davey Grant's going to wrestle or strike?
I think he's going to strike. I think he's going to have success striking, and Raphael's not super dangerous. And I think Raphael's start shooting some desperate takedowns, and Davey Grant might be able to do something in a scramble or just kind of wear him down. I can see him finishing him.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a tricky. I'm surprised the line is tightening. I thought it would widen with people looking at Grant. The restaurant thing is funny too. He owns a restaurant.
I think it is a little bit short notice for him, but he seems like a guy that just fights the way he fights, and he can do that forever, type of thing, you know?
Yeah, Camrot was short notice. He got it done. Guys, become a premium member. Unlock all of our bets, including the, I don't know how many units, the many units we have going for UFC 286, which is next week. And UFC 286 is not as obvious of a card as UFC 285 was. So,
except for the main event.
If you want to unlock... Jacob has a wild bet for the main event that I put up there for premium members with the caveat of you don't need to follow. But anyway, UFC 286 bets are up. All of these bets are up. The DraftKings Optimizer, fantasy stuff, and the 38 columns of detailed statistics for every single event are all available to you at only $10 a month at WeWantPicks.com. Sign up, become a member, and unlock all of it. And we got a member just a few minutes ago, Jerome. Thank you very much.